الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وبعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. All praise is due to Allah, and His praise and blessings and peace be upon our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the rest of the prophets and the messengers and their followers until the day of judgment. My dear brothers and sisters, welcome in a new episode of the weekly address. Today's episode or today's lecture will be about a very unique subject. It's about the day of Ashura that Muslims celebrate. And this day is still remembered by the Jewish community as the Passover. This day has been celebrated since the day of Musa alayhi salatu wassalam, after Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saved him. And it's been the habit of the children of Israel to celebrate that day until the Arab Peninsula adopted this habit that they used to celebrate the day of Ashura as well in Mecca because they are the children of Ismail. Anyway, so this habit started to be very famous and common in the Arab Peninsula. And when the Prophet ﷺ was sent as a messenger, and he was told about the habit of celebrating the day of Ashura, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saved the Prophet Musa and the believers with him, the Prophet ﷺ decided, or the Prophet ﷺ was told, he didn't decide, he was told by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to celebrate that day, but with the way the Muslims show their gratitude and thankful to Allah by fasting this day, by fasting the day of Ashura. And the Prophet ﷺ was asked, how come we will do that? And this is the day where the people of Mecca before Islam, prior to Islam, they used to celebrate, and this is the day where the Jews also celebrate. The Prophet ﷺ said, when he asked in Medina why they do that, they said the Jews do that because they're celebrating the Passover of Musa and the followers and the followers of his followers, the believers among the children of Israel. Then the Prophet ﷺ said, we deserve to celebrate that day more than them, more than anybody else, because we are the natural extent to Moses' message. That's the beauty of this religion. It connected all the religions together. This religion is the natural extent to all the messages and religions came before it. That's why the Prophet ﷺ ordered the Muslim to fast this day, reminded them of the ni'mah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the blessing that Allah bestowed among brothers and sisters in Islam for us. They are the one who followed Musa in that day and passed the sea, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saved them from Pharaoh. Let me take you back a little bit in history, on time, where the Prophet, the messenger Yusuf alayhi salam, the king of Egypt, Joseph, who invited Jacob and the children of Israel to move into Egypt and to come to Egypt, to live in Egypt. And after the children of Israel lived in Egypt, they lived with the Egyptians and they became part of the society and the community. And after generations, the king of Egypt, Pharaoh, he saw a dream, and somebody told him that that dream means that one of the children of Israel will strip you from your kingdom or your position, or will take over your throne, and he will take your country. When he heard that, he decided, and all the ignorance days, whenever people live away from the light and the guidance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when they don't go by the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they'll believe all these fairy tales and believe such statement or interpretation for their dreams. Anyway, that king decided to kill all the children of Israel, all the children of the Israelis in that time in Egypt. So every newborn will be killed immediately if he is a male. And we know the story how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered the mother of Musa to breastfeed him, then to throw him in the Nile, and how it ends up that this baby come into the hand of the killer of the children of Israel, Pharaoh. But because he doesn't have a son, and because his wife interfered with his decision, and she told him, let's raise this baby to be one of our children, and it became our son. We know the story. In front of that weakness or that weak moment in Pharaoh's life made him decide to keep Musa alive. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala planned the whole thing for the mother of Musa to be the one who will have custody of Musa and breastfeeding him till he returned him back to her safely, even by the protection of the one who was searching for him to kill. Subhanallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala planned things. Anyway, time goes by. We know the story when Musa alayhi salam had the problem with the Egyptian in Egypt, and he killed one of the Egyptians. Then he left the country. He moved to Midian, and he married there. In his way back to Egypt, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala honored Musa with the best thing ever a human being can be honored with. Allah chose him to be the messenger of Allah to the children of Israel, to carry one of the greatest messages, to reveal to him one of the greatest books Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ever revealed, which is the Torah. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent to him Al-Alwah, which is the safe tablets, which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have written these tablets by himself to Musa alayhi salam, and chose Musa to be Kalimur Rahman, to be the one who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will talk to him directly without a middle messenger, or without a messenger, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spoke to Musa immediately and directly, and he talks to him a lot subhanahu wa ta'ala. Anyway, Musa came back to Egypt to face Pharaoh with the fact that he's a prophet, he's a messenger, and Pharaoh is abusing the children of Israel, killing their children, taking their women, and misusing his power to the extent that Pharaoh claimed that he is God. In a moment, he used to claim that he is the greatest God. And sometime he used to claim that he is the greatest God. So he recognized other gods, but he think himself the greatest God. But it reached to a level, my brother and sister, that Pharaoh once said that I don't recall any other God for you except me, except himself. See how this idea developed, and he thought, he believed himself that he is the God of all humans, or of the Egyptians at least, because he believed that he's a son of God, and that's common belief in that time, that God has son, and he is one of the son of God, or he's the son of God, so he became God after that. Anyway, Musa challenged him, and we know all the details of the story, which is, I don't want to go through it in this lecture, but we're going as an intro to my subject, after he proved it clearly that he is the messenger of Allah, with several miracles, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed him with it. After Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed him with it. After he proved that, what happened? After he proved that, what happened to him? Pharaoh didn't believe. He challenged Musa. He was looking to kill Musa. In that moment, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered Musa to take the children of Israel and to leave Egypt. And to leave Egypt. After Pharaoh was defeated in public, after he brought all the magicians and he challenged Musa, then Musa came. And it was foolish from Pharaoh to challenge Musa in public, because that means he giving Musa the opportunity to go in public. And because of Pharaoh's arrogance, he accepted that challenge. And he said, مَوْعِدُكُمْ يَوْمُ الزِّينَةِ. Not only in public, in the time when people gathered from all over the country. Anyway, Musa alayhi salam showed the magicians his miracles, and the magicians realized that this is not a magic. This cannot be a magic. That's why the magician accepted Islam and they became Muslims. Pharaoh said, he is your master. And he knew that this is not true. And he knew that people will not believe this. It will not fly. And that's the nature of any dictators. He doesn't respect people's intelligence. He knows that Musa was raised in his palace, so has no way to be raised among magicians or dealt with magic. He knows that. And he knows that he moved to a country where magic is not common. Magic was in Egypt. Very common. Also, he knows that those magicians, he selected them by himself, the pharaohs. He gathered them from all over the country. So it cannot be something pre-planned between Musa and those people. It's impossible. He knows that. But this is the nature of the dictators, that arrogance. They don't care. And they insult people's intelligence with their statement and with their judgment and with their decisions. Anyway, Musa a.s. decided to leave Egypt with the believers among the Jews. When he left, Pharaoh and his soldiers, his army, his great army, he gathered his army and he said, let's kill them all at once. Allahu Akbar. I can imagine that Musa alayhi salam, with the few people that he went with, and he ordered them, nobody carry weapons, nothing. They left all weapons at home and they went with Musa alayhi salam. And guess what? To the dead end, to the sea. No ships. There is no ships there even to carry them to the other side. And you see? So he was basically led them to a place where they cannot survive. They don't have a weapon to fight. There is no way to pass over that sea or the water. And the enemy coming and the army of Pharaoh will not hesitate to kill them all. That fear came to the heart of some of the followers of Musa at that time. And they said to Musa that they are coming. They are going to reach us. فَلَمَّا تَرَاءَتِ الْفِئَتَانِ قَالُوا إِنَّا لَمُدْرَكُونَ. When they saw them over there, they said they are coming. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala testing them, putting them in a very hard test, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala waited until the moment comes that they can see the army coming. While they're coming, while they approach them, they said, they are going to catch us. They are going to kill us all. They are going to find out about us. But Musa said, كَلَّا إِنَّ مَعِي رَبِّي سَيَهْدِينَ. No, Allah with me. Allah will guide me. I didn't bring you here because this was my plan. I didn't bring you all the way here to this spot just because that's what I thought, that was my opinion. No, that's what Allah ordered me to do. That's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guided me to. And since Allah, He's the one who brought me here, Allah will never ever let us down. Sayahdeen, He will guide me how to exit from this problem. And all of a sudden, Musa alayhi salam with a stick, he hit the sea. And guess what? A 12 road, solid road over the water for each tribe of the children of Israel. There were 12 tribes, and they have a 12 road. They go through it. They start. Each tribe by themselves. How Allah honoring the children of Israel, the follower of Musa in that time. He honored them that He made for them not only one path that they be crowded, and it's like, because if you know the enemy is coming, everybody want to rush to run away. Allah made for them 12 paths, 12 bridges, 12 roads over the water, and they walk. And guess what? Not only that, and the water in between each one, and they can see each other through the water. So they feel comfortable. They not worry about their friends and their relatives and the other members of the other tribes. How merciful He was. And how merciful He is. And He was in that moment, and He is, subhanahu wa ta'ala. How merciful Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with His, and supportive for His followers. Anyway, it's a miracle that they can walk on through the sea, 12 roads, and the rest of the water is like mountains in between each road. I always ask myself these questions. A person can be full, but he cannot be that full and foolish to believe himself to the extent to what Pharaoh did. Pharaoh saw Musa and his people going through the water, passing. He didn't back off. He said, okay, they left my country. I have nothing to do with them anymore. Okay, I'm going to go back to my kingdom because nobody threatening my throne anymore. They left the country. And you see that Allah gave them this miracle. It's not magic. He knows that. But because he's so arrogant, he said, let's go kill them. And I believe he's not only fool, the one who is worst, his followers, his soldiers. But subhanAllah, that's the nature of some human beings. They just follow blindly without even saying no to their leaders. And if they know it's wrong and it thinks it can kill them all. Anyway, what they did, they entered the sea, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala drowned them all. But He saved the body of Pharaoh to be remembered, to be seen, to be recognized. And some people said that body which is existent in Egypt today in the museum is the body of that Pharaoh. Anyway, regardless if it's the one or not, but Allah saved him. And people got lesson from that, learned lesson from that. That moment when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saved the believer, it was called the moment of the Passover, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed the believer to be saved from that dictators, from that disbeliever, which is Pharaoh and his soldier. We'll take a short break, then we'll continue inshallah our talking.
On the righteous companions. You've seen him on the inevitable journey.
We want the Muslim home to be a Muslim home.
You have 30 episodes to teach us how to build a better future. Ready, set, go.
And all of these are ideas.
Yeah.
We got to be creative.
What are our tools? Bubblegum, Mickey Mouse, Starbucks, American movies, foreign films. Is this going to produce a good generation of Muslims?
In order to produce that generation, Malik,
yes,
there are 3 institutions. That generation, we want to produce that generation to be those men. Sisters, go back to your religion. Go back to your deen.
We're talking about the next generation. You're going to hear me say that phrase a lot, the next generation. I'm not talking about Star Trek. They had this chart, check that, it shows a small monkey and then like a bigger monkey and a bigger monkey.
That new generation, that better future. Even in the West, they say a family that prays together stays together.
I talked briefly about the history of Musa, or the story of Musa alayhi salam with Pharaoh, and how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saved Musa and his followers from Pharaoh and his soldiers. My dear brothers and sisters, the Muslims and the believers among the Jews in that time lived a very hard time. And this is something normal. You see it when you study the history of all the prophets and the messengers, that them and their followers had a hard time in the beginning and in their life. And they've been abused to the extent that they were not able to pray in public, go to their temples or their masjids, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala name it, to perform the salat. They ask Musa alayhi salam to perform salat in their homes and in their houses instead of going to the temples, because they were afraid from Pharaoh and from the Egyptian in that time to kill them, or to tell Pharaoh about them. Then they will be taken to jail or be killed or tortured. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to them, you can pray at your home and no harm for that. But listen to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us, that Musa alayhi salam ordered his people in that hard time. During these days, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us that Musa said, قال موسى لقومه استعينوا بالصبر والصلاة. Musa told his people, seek help in sabr, being patient, and prayer. Because being patient in the time of calamity, when there is a hardship, you will be able to go over that easily. But if you lose control, if you became devastated or depressed or react in any negative way, you will still in the problem and you will not be able to go through it easily. But be patient and pray. As-salat. Praying is very important, is very, very important issue in a time of fitna, in a time of trial. When a person going through a trial, or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts him in a test. يا أيها الذين آمنوا استعينوا بالصبر والصلاة إن الله مع الصابرين. Oh, who you believe, seek help in what? الصبر والصلاة, patient and prayer. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, indeed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with those who are patient. With them in a sense that He is supporting them, helping them. My brothers and sisters, it's very important also in a such time that we pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not only to perform the prayer, but also to call Him and to ask His help. فَقَالُوا عَلَى اللَّهِ تَوَكَّلْنَا. They said, عَلَى اللَّهِ تَوَكَّلْنَا. We put our trust, we depend on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. رَبَّنَا لَا تَجْعَلْنَا فِتْنَةً لِلْقَوْمِ الظَّالِمِينَ. Oh Allah, don't let us be fitna for the transgressor. Fitna here, it means that temptation, or don't make us like a target or something that the transgressor would like to have, to torture or to abuse. وَنَجِّنَا بِرَحْمَتِكَ مِنَ الْقَوْمِ الْكَافِرِينَ. Save us by your mercy from the disbeliever. وَقَالَ مُوسَى رَبَّنَا إِنَّكَ آتَيْتَ فِرْعَوْنَ وَمَلَأَهُ زِينَةً وَأَمْوَالًا فِي الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا. Musa said, oh Allah, you have given Pharaoh and his leaders, his commanders, his lieutenants, the princes who were there in the time of the king of Egypt, Pharaoh. He said, you have given them wealth and power in this worldly life. But what they did, رَبَّنَا لِيُضِلُّوا عَنْ سَبِيلِكَ. They used this to mislead people, to misguide people, to object the truth, to stand in front of the truth and stop the da'wah from being spread or being taught to people. What he said, رَبَّنَا اطْمِسْ عَلَىٰ أَمْوَالِهِمْ وَاشْدُدْ عَلَىٰ قُلُوبِهِمْ فَلَا يُؤْمِنُوا حَتَّى يَرَوُا الْعَذَابَ الْأَلِيمِ. He asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to destroy their wealth and to block them from seeing the truth, so they will be more evil. They will do more evil things, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will destroy them all. what I'm trying to say, you notice that so many verses in the Quran talking about how much they used to supplicate to Allah, to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help them in a such time or in such occasion. Also remember, my brothers and sisters, that no matter how long the fight will be between the truth and the falsehood, the followers of the truth and the followers of the Satan or the devil or the falsehood, no matter how long it will stay, how long it will be, always the victory will be given to those who have taken the road and the path of Musa and Isa, Moses and Jesus and Muhammad and Abraham and all the prophets. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be pleased with them all and their followers. We have also to always to step on the side of the prophets and their followers. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala granted Musa and his followers victory. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us that Musa alayhi salam, when he told his people, قال موسى لقومه استعينوا بالله واصبروا. He told his people, seek help from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help you. واصبروا, be patient. إن الأرض لله يورثها من يشاء من عباده. All the land, this earth belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He can give it to whomever He wants. وَالْعَاقِبَةُ لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. Always the muttaqeen, the people of tawheed, the people of taqwa, the righteous one, they are the one who will inherit this earth. They are the one who will be victorious in the end. No matter how dark it looks like, always we believe that the light is coming very soon, is coming very soon. These are some of the lessons we can mention quickly related to the story of Musa alayhi salam. And I think Muslims in these days, they really need to reflect upon these lessons and these meanings, because it will help them. It will help us to be stronger in our life today with all these calamities and problems that we are going through as a community or as a nation. Anyway, the Prophet ﷺ, when he'd been told about this day and how the Jews celebrate this day because Allah saved Musa, the Prophet ﷺ felt the obligation toward his brothers Musa. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordained for the Muslim to celebrate that day as well by offering siyam. That's what we call the day of Ashura. So Ashura is a day of the month of Muharram. The month of the Muharram. The month of Muharram, we know that these names, Muharram, Safar, and so on, these names are names given to the month. These names given by the Arab prior even to the Prophet ﷺ time, to the months. And every name been given to a month for a meaning, either because there is an occasion happen or something happened in that month, so they named the month after that occasion or that incident, or because it's related to something the Arab used to do in that time. So they perform Hajj, they call the month of Dhul Hijjah. Because they don't fight in that month, they call the month of Dhul Qa'dah, where they sit and nobody fight. The month of Muharram also been called Al-Muharram because it's a secret month. It's forbidden to fight in that month. And it's one of these Ashhur al-Hurum, one of the 4 months that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made them secret, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala honored them and made them special months over the rest of the months. Anyway, and by the way, this is the only month we added to Allah's name. We said Shahrullah al-Muharram, the month of Allah al-Muharram, which is the forbidden month, which is forbidden to fight or to abuse or to do any act of transgression towards other. There is so many ahadith came in related to the month of Muharram and fasting, particularly fasting this month. The Prophet ﷺ said, for the month of Muharram, the Prophet ﷺ said, أفضل الصيام بعد رمضان شهر الله المحرم وأفضل الصلاة بعد الفريضة صلاة الليل. The Prophet ﷺ said the best month to fast in it will be the month of Muharram, after Ramadan. And the best prayer you can offer after the obligatory 5 or the 5 daily prayers will be the night prayer, Even though Nabi Sallallahu used not to fast so much of the month of Ramadan, because mostly the Prophet Sallallahu used to be traveling in that month. Some scholars even, they will debate the authenticity of some of the hadith related to fasting the month of Muharram, such as the hadith I just mentioned. Some scholars said it is not that authentic. That hadith saying the best fasting after the month of Ramadan is fasting the month of Muharram. But the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, as Imam Nawawi said, did not used to fast so much in this month because the Prophet ﷺ maybe was told about the virtues of this month in the end of his life. So he never knew about it before. That's why he didn't fast so many of the month of Muharram or most of the month of Muharram in his life. Also the scholar said because he used to travel in this month a lot. What is Ashura? So we know what's Muharram. Let's say what is Ashura. Ashura, it is a day in Muharram. It comes from the 10th, Ashara, from the 10th of Muharram. And it's been called Ashura, it's kind of exaggerating way of showing exaggeration to honor this day. It's a very honorable day. It's called Ashura. Which day is Ashura? I've been saying a day in Muharram. Is it the 10th? Is it only, that's one opinion, it's the 10th of Muharram? There is a difference of opinions among the scholars about defining the day exactly. Is it the 10th or it is the 9th? The 10th is the opinion of the vast majority of the Muslim scholars, the early Muslim scholars, and the modern scholars as well. This is the opinion of Sa'id ibn Musayyib, Al-Hasan al-Basri, Malik, Imam Ahmad, Ishaq. So many scholars have said it is the 10th, and this is the vast majority of the scholars. Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma said that the Prophet ﷺ ordered us to fast the day of Ashura, the 10th. And Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu also said that the Prophet ﷺ said Ashura is the 10th. So this is very clear evidence supporting the first opinion. Second opinion, which has been mentioned by some of the scholars, they said this is the opinion of Ibn Abbas. It is the 9th. Of Dhul Hijjah. It's the 9th of Dhul Hijjah. The Ibn Abbas told once one of his students, Al-Hakam ibn al-A'raj, he told him, if you see the crescent of Muharram, the month of Muharram, so count 9 days. إذا رأيت هلال المحرم فاعدد وأصبح يوم التاسع صائما. In the 9th fast. So based on this opinion, they said Ibn Abbas think that it is the 9th of Muharram. Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah said very beautiful point here. Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah said what Ibn Abbas said in this narration does not suggest that he believed Ashura is the 9th. He said Ibn Abbas told A'raj, when 9th comes, fast. He didn't say when the 9th comes, that means it's Ashura. No, because we know it's from the Sunnah to fast 1 day before Ashura. Because the Prophet ﷺ said, I will fast the 9th and the 10th. So Ibn al-Qayyim said what Ibn Abbas was aiming to or trying to teach the man is to fast 1 day before Ashura, which is the 9th. Based on this, Ibn al-Qayyim said Ibn Abbas was not among those who adopt this opinion, which is the 9th. And when the Prophet ﷺ said, if I live to the next year, I will fast the 9th, it doesn't mean that he changed the day where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saved Musa from the 10th to be the 9th. No, he said he will add one day to it because for several reasons. One of them, because if they used to celebrate that by offering one day of celebration, we as Muslims, because we deserve to follow Musa more than anybody else, we have more rights towards Musa alayhi salam, we will do 2 days instead of one. We'll do 2 days instead of one. That's basically what the scholars have said in regard to this issue. There are several ahadith encouraging Muslims to fast the day of Ashura, such as what the Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu said, ما رأيت النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يتحرى صيام يوم. Ibn Abbas said, I haven't seen the Prophet ﷺ care about fasting any day as I saw him worry about fasting the day of Ashura. He will ask, when is Ashura? When is Ashura? So he will fast the day of Ashura. He said, except the month of Ramadan. He will care about the month of Ramadan more than any other days. Also, Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anhuma said, إن أهل الجاهلية كانوا يصومون يوم عاشوراء. The people of Mecca before Islam, they used to fast the day of Ashura. And Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the Muslims fasted the day of Ashura before Ramadan was described or prescribed upon them. Upon them. Then after Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered Muslims to fast the month of Ramadan, what the Prophet ﷺ said. Ibn Umar said, then the Prophet ﷺ told the believer, إن عاشوراء يوم من أيام الله فمن شاء صامه ومن شاء تركه. Ashura is one of the day of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's days. Whoever wished to fast that day, he should fast it. Or whoever wants to fast it, he can fast. Whoever wished not to fast, he cannot fast. Also, similar to that, Aisha radiallahu anha narrated hadith similar to this. Also, Abu Musa al-Ash'ari said that the Prophet ﷺ, when he came to Medina and he saw the Jews honoring that day and fasting it, he started fasting it. So, here are questions that we're going to answer after the short break. If the Prophet ﷺ knew really about the day of Ashura, he knows about fasting Ashura, and the people of Mecca used to fast Ashura, why the Prophet ﷺ asked about that day again when he moved to Medina, and he was told by the Sahaba, this is the day that the Jews fast because they're celebrating the Passover of Musa? Why he asked about it if he already knew about it? We'll answer this inshallah after the break.
Welcome all of you to another exciting and new episode of your program, Let's Talk.
If we listen to someone talking about Islam, we should really know their credentials and if they really are the experts they say they are.
This man is an expert in Islamic Sharia. It's crazy.
They use the knowledge for the sake of Allah.
Media with its emphasis, with its agenda, with the spin.
Okay, you guys, today we're going to talk about a very important topic that has been neglected by Muslims around the world.
And they would say, whatever happened in Somalia, it's a Somali problem. Whatever's happening in Pakistan, it's a Pakistani problem.
Islam doesn't forbid people to adhere to technology.
You guys at home, you hear the doctor. He's telling you guys to be environmentally friendly, go pick up trash, plant a tree, do something good for the environment. It is our responsibility as Muslims.
The Sheikh told us about 2 Egyptians who decided to move on the spot to look at the problem.
I like the extreme sports.
Yeah, right.
And I try to search what it is.
Yeah,
I know
okay.
this is a cool part.
welcome back. We're saying, how come the Prophet ﷺ, familiar with the day of Ashura, and we heard the ahadith that the Prophet ﷺ, in Mecca, people used to fast the day of Ashura. And here the other hadith saying, when the Prophet ﷺ migrated to Medina, the Prophet ﷺ, he saw the Jews fasting this day, and he asked, what day is that day and why they are fasting it? They told him that this is the day where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saved Musa. Then the Prophet ﷺ said, we should fast this day because we deserve to celebrate that day more than them. Isn't this kind of contradiction here? The Muslim scholar said, no. There is no proof that the Arab used to celebrate that day, the day of Ashura, because of the Jews, or because that they celebrating the safety of Musa and his followers, because they were infidel. They don't believe in Musa alayhi salam or Isa. They used to consider those Jews and Christians are different than them in that time. So there is no proof that they used to do that because of that. Actually, we have some narrations saying, as Al-Hafidh ibn Hajar rahimahullah said, that they used to celebrate the day of Ashura because Quraysh, the tribe of Quraysh, have committed a sin, and they repented from that sin in the day of Ashura, and they said, we're going to honor that day and celebrate that day. And they used to bring Kiswatul Kaaba, the covering of Al-Kaaba, and putting it on the Kaaba on that day, out of honoring that day, because they believe that they repent in that day. So that's one way to understand these two ahadith. You might also ask another question. The hadith saying, especially the hadith ibn Abbas radiallahu anh, when the Prophet ﷺ entered Medina or came to Medina, he saw the Jews fasting that day, and he asked why they are fasting it, because they are not, as he said, they are not like the Arab of Mecca who used to celebrate that day. So what's the connection? But he been told this is because they're celebrating the safety of Musa and the Passover. You might ask a question. The Prophet ﷺ entered Medina in which month? In Muharram? No. The Prophet ﷺ entered Medina in Rabi' al-Awwal. So that's already not the month of Muharram. Not the month of Muharram. So how come the hadith saying when he moved to Medina? The scholar said there is no problem to understand this hadith, either because when the Sahabi or the narrator said when the Prophet moved to Medina, it doesn't mean immediately in the same month, but after he moved to the Medina, maybe the next year in Muharram, he saw them doing that. That's one way. Second opinion, which is also a very strong way to resolve this conflict or this problem, that the Jews used to follow, they change in that time, or that's what the scholar said, that they don't used to follow the moon. They will not calculate the month based on the moon. They used to follow the sun. So basically their month is different than the Arabic month, or the month was based on the moon. That's why it might happen to be in Rabi' al-Awwal or Rabi' al-Thani after the Prophet ﷺ moved to Medina. Also Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu said, the Prophet ﷺ said, if I live to the next year, I will add to it the 9th. I will fast the 9th. I will fast the 9th. I will fast the 9th. It means instead of the 10th, or I will add it to the 10th. In another narration, the Prophet ﷺ said, I will add to it the 9th. I will add to it in the 9th. And also there is another narration in the Sunan, I will add to it the 9th at the 11th. Or I will add to it one day before it and one day after it. One day after it. All these ahadith been reported and narrated to us, and it's acceptable narrations. Also the Prophet ﷺ said, as it's known in a very famous hadith Abu Qatada, radiallahu anhu arda, that the Prophet ﷺ said, fasting the day of Arafah will erase the sin of 2 years, But fasting the day of Ashura will erase the sin of a whole year, 1 year. Why? Some scholars said, actually we should not even raise that question. Why? Because that's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala anyway said. But anyway, some scholars said because the greatness of Arafah is way better than the Ashura, because the day of Arafah comes in one of the Ashur al-Hurum, the secret month, and before it one of the Ashur al-Hurum, and after it one of the Ashur al-Hurum, Dhul Qa'dah and Muharram. But Muharram, it is one of the Ashur al-Hurum, before it one of the Ashur al-Hurum, but the month after it is not one of the Ashur al-Hurum. So that make it Arafah in the central of the Ashur al-Hurum. Anyway, I don't think it's a very important issue, but Jabir ibn Samurah said, كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يأمرنا بصيام عاشوراء ويحثنا عليه ويتعاهدنا عنده فلما فرض رمضان لم يأمرنا ولم ينهانا ولم يتعاهدنا عنده. The Prophet ﷺ used to order us to fast the day of Ashura and encourage us and highly recommend us and check upon us that we are fasting the day of Ashura or not. But after Allah prescribed fasting the month of Ramadan upon us, the Prophet ﷺ did not ask us if we are fasting the day of Ashura or not. He was not like worry about it the same way he used to be before the month Ramadan was prescribed. It is even been reported as Rabi' bint Mu'awwidh ibn Afra radiyallahu anha, she said that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam once sent one of his messengers to the villages of Al-Ansar, to the people who are living outside of Medina, that in the day of Ashura, whoever in the morning woke up fasting, he didn't eat anything yet, he should continue his fast. And whoever break his fast, he should continue his day. He should continue his day. There is no need, he missed that day already. The Prophet ﷺ encouraged them to the extent, she said, after this we used to fast the day of Ashura, and we used to order our kids and children to fast also the day of Ashura. We used to take them to the masjid with toys and dolls that they can play with it until the Maghrib time will come, so they can break and they can eat with us. It's been reported that Ashura is Eid Nabi, is a day of Eid. A day of Eid for a prophet before you, which is Musa, so you should fast that day. You should fast that day. It's been reported by Al-Bazzar. What is the rule regarding to fast the day of Ashura? Two opinions. One, some scholars said it was obligated upon Muslim, and this is the opinion of Abu Hanifa, and one opinion among the Shafi'iyya, and also among the Hanabila, Imam Ahmad rahimahullah ta'ala, that it was obligated, but this was abrogated by Ramadan, and it became only highly recommended. Other group of scholars said no, it was highly recommended, and stayed the way it is highly recommended after Ramadan was prescribed. Fasting the month of Ramadan was prescribed among Muslims. And this is the famous opinion which is chosen by Al-Qadi, and also it is the famous opinion among the Shafi'iyya rahimahullah ta'ala. Anyway, without going to details which might not be needed here in this lecture, but everybody agree, as Imam Nawawi said, everybody agree that now these days after the Ramadan was prescribed, it's not obligated. It is sunnah, and it is highly recommended. And it is highly recommended among for Muslims to fast this day, because it erases a sin of a year. What's the benefit from fasting the day of Ashura? What's the benefit? The benefit is to make that connection between our nation and nations before us. To remember how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can support His followers in a moment when they are great need of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's support. And this is enough for us to show our grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He saved a believers. And that shows you how much the Muslims ummah is so tolerant towards us, toward others. That we feel that we are all one ummah, one nation. We are happy for any good happen to any Muslim or any believer or any righteous in the world, even if it happened thousands of years ago. Is it not recommended to fast the day of Ashura by itself? What if I'm not able maybe to fast the 9th and the 10th? Can I fast only Ashura by itself? Can I fast only Ashura by itself? Shaykh al-Islam bin Taymiyyah rahimahullah said, لا يكره إفراده بالصيام. Nobody can say it's not recommended to fast Ashura by itself. It is recommended to fast Ashura. And if you want to fast it by itself, it is permissible. And that's what Imam Ahmad rahimahullah said. And also before that, Ibn Abbas allowed that. And also it's the madhab or the opinion of Abu Hanifa rahimahullah ta'ala. The scholar said, and this has been mentioned by Imam al-Qayyim, after going all over the different of opinion, he said, fasting the day of Ashura has 3 levels. Or fasting Ashura, 3 levels. The best is to fast the 10th, and the 9th, the 10th, the 11th. And less than that, to fast the 10th with 1 day, either the one before it or the one after it. And the lowest level is to fast the 10th by itself. To fast the 10th by itself, Also, this was in the answer of the committee, of the Fatwa committee in Saudi Arabia, when they said, يجوز صيام يوم عاشوراء يوما واحدا فقط. It's allowed to fast the day of Ashura by itself. But it's better to add 1 day before it and 1 day after it. 1 day after it. Shaykh Baz rahimahullah said, he said that no. Better to fast the 9th and the 10th according to the hadith. Because the hadith said the 9th. The 9th. Didn't say the 11th. The 9th. So he said the best is to do the 9th and the 10th. Or if it's not so, it will be the 10th. If it's not, it will be the 10th. But if it is going to be the 10th and the 11th, he said it's also permissible and good. To be different from the way the Jews celebrate that day. To show more, to be more grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And here there's another issue. What if Ashura is a Saturday? Can we fast the day of Ashura if it's Saturday? You might ask, what's wrong with that? The problem some people raised that in Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, as came in Hadith al-Samma, the Prophet ﷺ said, don't fast don't fast Saturday. Only the Saturday which is in Ramadan you can fast, what is obligated on you to fast. Other than that, you cannot fast Saturday with any volunteer fasting. To the extent the Prophet ﷺ said, if you can find anything to break your fast with it, you go to the root of a tree and you suck the water out of it. Or the leaves, you suck the water out of it just to break your fast with it. This hadith, some ulama used to say it's not allowed to fast Saturday, to fast Ashura if it's Saturday. Actually, this hadith did not say don't fast Saturday if it's Ashura. It's talking in general. But this hadith can be understood in a different way. First, for those who accepted this hadith as an authentic hadith, they said there is other hadiths. We have to see this hadith in the light of other ahadith, such as the Prophet ﷺ said to Juwayriyah when she was fasting Friday. The Prophet ﷺ said, did you fast Thursday? She said, no. He said, so fast, add 1 day to it, which is Saturday. So the Prophet ﷺ commanded Juwayriyah to fast Friday and Saturday. If Saturday not allowed to be fast, the Prophet ﷺ will not ask Juwayriyah to do that. The Prophet ﷺ said, when you fast Friday, either add 1 day to it, before it or after it, which is Saturday. Also, the Prophet ﷺ, as Salama was asked about the days that the Prophet used to fast the most, she mentioned Monday and Saturday. There is several ahadith that the Prophet ﷺ used to fast the majority of the month of Sha'ban. And in the month of Sha'ban, there is Saturdays. Ibn Taymiyyah used this as an evidence also that the Prophet ﷺ used to fast Saturdays sometimes. And the Nabi ﷺ said the best fasting is the fasting of Dawood, which is you fast one day, you break your fast another day, which is definitely 1 week Saturday will be a day of fasting and the next week will not be. Also the Prophet ﷺ said 13, 14, 15, the best days to fast recommended us to fast the 3 days in the middle of the month, which call the days when the moon is full. And definitely sometimes these days can be on Saturday. The Prophet did not make an exception for Saturday. These ahadith shows you that the hadith of Samma, don't fast Saturday by itself or for no reason, just like this voluntarily. But if it is for a reason or because you add 1 day to it, either before it or after it, it will be permissible and acceptable. That's almost this is the vast majority of the scholars' opinion, and this is the way they understood this hadith. Others said no, this hadith actually is weak, and so many of the scholars of hadith used to consider hadith al-Samma about Saturday as weak or been abrogated, such as An-Nasa'i, Ibn Hajar, Imam Ahmad, Yahya ibn Sa'id al-Qattan, Dhahabi. So many scholars anyway have criticized the authenticity of this hadith, because it contradicts so many other ahadith mentioned that the Prophet ﷺ used to fast on Saturday. Let's move to another point. Al-ulama also said if you fast Ashura and you have days that you missed from previous Ramadan, can you consider Ashura? Can you fast the month of Ashura and in your intention also to make up some of the days that you missed in Ramadan? The answer is yes. That's what Al-Iraqi said. That's what came in the answer of the Committee of Fatwa, Al-Lajna Da'ima of Ifta in Saudi Arabia also. What if you fast the Ashura and you find out it was not Ashura, it was a wrong date later on? Can you make it up? Shaykh ibn Baz rahimahullah was asked this question and he said no, because the ajr inshaAllah will reach you even if you miss the exact date. Also, can you fast Ashura while you're traveling? Some scholars said you should, like Ibn Abbas and Abu Ishaq al-Shabi'i al-Zuhri, and they used to say Allah said about Ramadan there is other days that you can make up the days that you break your fast during traveling in Ramadan, you can make them up later on. But Ashura you cannot make it up. So that's why they said even in traveling you can fast. But anyway, it's recommended to fast Ashura anyway. If you want to do that and it will not harm you, it's permissible. In the end, I would like to mention some of the common innovations and wrong deeds that people, or wrong practicing that people do during the day of Ashura. And the most common one that some people use this day to hit themselves and to start screaming and crying and wearing black and shutting down all the stores because they show their sadness because on that day Al-Hussein was killed. And people practice so many practices in this day. I think it does not represent the way of the Prophet ﷺ or the pure or the message of Islam, and it gives very bad image of Muslims, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered us to be patient in any calamity, and the Prophet ﷺ forbid any woman to hit herself or to injure yourself, even as we see some people might do. Without going to details, but this is not acceptable, and this is one of the innovations, common innovations that people practice during the month of Muharram, or especially in the day of Ashura. Some people also narrate a fabricated hadith. I'm just warning you from it because it's not authentic. Whoever will give money to his children in the day of Ashura, or give them more money to his spouse or to his children, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give him a lot of provision in that year. It's always good idea to give money and to give gifts to your family during this day. Also, it's not recommended to give the zakat specifically in that day. This is some of the common innovations that people might practice during the month or the day of Ashura. Anyway, utilize this day in fast on the day of Ashura. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive us and to help this ummah and to give victory to those who've been oppressed and to give patience to those who are going through calamity. That will bring us to the conclusion of our episode today. Thank you for watching the weekly address, and assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.